Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. Sorry it hasn't been a good week for making videos. I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, it's about 5:15, 7/21 Monday, 28.4 degrees centigrade. My batteries were charged earlier in the day. The sun's not directly on them, so they're not fully charged. 5:18 is the real, right? 7/21 Monday, 86. That one says 83. So, yeah, I didn't get really anything done yesterday. It seems that I guess I shot a video on Saturday when I finished up that guy, right? When I finished up the pit bike. And Saturday night, as I was getting ready to go to Lynn's 25th anniversary at work party, my ankle was killing me. There was like a bump on the side of it. It was like the joint swelled up, and it was all cranky. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I just gave it a spin or tucked it under or whatever, rolled it while fooling around with the bike. And I didn't think too much of it, so I went to her party, and the way back to the car, it was really cranky. But I got in the car and drove home, and then it kept me awake a lot of Saturday night because it just hurt. I couldn't seem to roll to a position where it would behave itself. So finally, somewhere through the night, I woke up and I got up and put ice on it. Iced it down good. That seemed to help. I went back to bed, slept for another few hours, but it just didn't sleep much Saturday night. So yeah, yesterday I just didn't get a lot done. And then today when I woke up, it was better. But I was looking at it. It didn't turn purple at all. I mean, no bruising, no purple, just swollen. Then I was thinking, I remember when I was changing for bed, that when I took off my sock, I found a dog tick, one of those big ticks, and it wasn't down there on the side of the foot, on the outside of the ankle where it was swollen. It was all the way up on top, and I doubt with as tight as the sock was that it got to me. But the tick was attached, and I pulled it off, and obviously killed the bastard, and didn't think anything of it. So I'm wondering if it bit me or something, because now the ankle kind of itches. So, I mean, there was no dot down there, didn't look like any kind of bite. Not that you can look at the outside of your ankle with all that much ease. So, anyhow, today it seems better. I'm getting around on it. At least I'm able to walk. I'm wearing I went with the more of the high top looking sneaker. I don't know if you guys could see how much that's open compared to how much that's opened. So normally, because this is the leg I had the hip done, normally this foot is a tad smaller than that foot, and now it's bigger than that foot, so it is still a bit swollen. And quite honestly, it itches like heck, and I can't wait to get inside, take off my my boot, and kind of give it a scratch, because it is kind of driving me a little crazy. It's itching beneath the boot, so I can't do anything with it. What I did try to do, you try to get something done, right, is this workspace here is a loser, a complete and total loser. Obviously, I have this piece of wood being held up by this, which keeps me from opening the top of this up. What I want to do is I want to be able to open the top of this thing up. So I'm just popping a piece of plywood up here now to see what I think of it as a tabletop, or if that's a complete loser, and then I got to think of doing something else. But what I have going on here is power comes into the garage via extension cord. I do not have buried power into the garage. The township I live in If I would have buried power and had permanent power to this, it goes up in class. And buildings are of different classes. You kind of have the non-taxed class, like all the sheds and the canvas buildings and all that. Those are non-taxed. A shed, according to my town, could, as long as it's less than 100 square feet, it could sit there forever. It can be on a concrete slab or it cannot be on a concrete slab. That's your problem, but it can more or less sit there forever. These tarp buildings, if they're more than 100 square feet, and they are only allowed to sit in one place for 90 days. On day 91, you're supposed to move it or you're in violation. Obviously, they haven't been back here, or I would have been tagged with violations. In my town also, all vehicles, including a copper vehicle here, and even the trailers, right? Like you guys could see the plate on this guy, though it's expired, right? All trailers need to be registered. Even that box should have an axle under it and should be registered. That trailer should be registered. And also, if they want it to be difficult, forget if they want it to be difficult, if they applied to the law to me as it's written, these guys are all supposed to be registered in New York too. Every single one of them. If they are not registered, they have to be inside. And if they are not registered, they are only allowed on your property. You cannot leave your property with them. If you're going to leave your property and go riding at a friend's house, I mean, your argument could be, well, it's really his bike. The cops really aren't that bad in New York, such that they're going to show up on, private property and give you grief about riding an all-terrain vehicle unless somebody calls them for something you've done. But theoretically, even for transport, if they're not broken as you're moving them around, they can even stop you and ask you where the plate is and give you some grief and tell you it needs to have a plate. Obviously, when I'm moving these rats around, I'm like, yo, I'm moving salvage around. What do you want from me? It's just parts. Generally speaking, those are the laws. How they apply them is, it depends. You get on somebody's bad side, they can throw the book at you, right? Hence the meaning of, they threw the book at me. Or if you kind of keep your head low and try to fly under the, under the wire, you don't run across as many of the rules. So, anyhow, I'm not quite sure why I drifted off there. Maybe I am being poisoned by this tick and my brain's going bad. About this garage. When it comes to a building that's over 100 square feet, as this is, it's 24 by 24, they start grading it as how close are you getting to living space. Without electricity, it's considered basically a barn. If you put electricity into it, they start calling it a workshop. If you put bathroom facilities in it, basically a toilet, now they call it living space. So I wanted to have this thing as close to a shed as possible for taxation purposes. This building probably cost me, if I had to guess, probably around $500 a year in additional taxes for this 24 by 24 building. My overall tax bill's probably about $10,000. Might be even a little more than that. Might be $600 or $700 a year in taxes. So it's interesting. Here in New York, it seems that we rent everything from the government. There are a lot of things I like about the Hudson Valley. I mean, I got a nice spot. I got a nice house. I have connections. I love the flea markets. I love a lot of things about the Hudson Valley where I live, but the tax situation is murder. It's literally It's literally killing me. And it's going to make it, when I do retire, it's going to make it very, very hard to stay here. I finally built everything I want and got everything the way I want it. And it's going to be interesting to be able to afford it. When one retires, just very quickly, depending on how you live and where you live, let's just, for a number on it, say this place cost me about $1,000 a month between the $10,000 a year in taxes and the basic maintenance, keeping the roof on it, but just basic stuff. And from a maintenance point of view, right? Every once in a while, you have to paint a wall or replace a toilet or whatever. Just an even oven. Let's make it $1,000 a month. And here in New York, medical through Healthy New York, that New York Health Exchange, some like to call it Obamacare, though we had the New York Exchange before Obamacare. Through the New York Exchange, insurance is about $1,000 a month for my wife and I. So that means just to sit here with medical insurance, we're not talking eating, we're not talking driving, we're not talking about doing anything else. I gotta have an income of $2,000 a month. By the time you put on other little things like, trying to heat this place and trying to eat and so forth and on, you more or less got to double that, right? Car insurance, the car and house insurance are close to $5,000 a year. You just keep beating through these numbers, and it adds up very quickly. So probably call it $4,000 a month. That's what it costs. That's a pretty big nut to break every month. And another issue with making $4,000 a month, you're to the point where you're you are paying federal and state income tax on the $4,000 a month, such that now you need to make like $5,000 a month or more just to stay alive. So, though I really do like it here, I am getting a little concerned about being able to keep it once I retire. But what are you going to do? Hey. Right? You live, you learn, you live, and hopefully you live a long time. And if you live long enough, you run out of money. Or you don't live very long, like my buddy Glade or my other buddy Vern. And then you don't have to worry about money. I don't know. What do you prefer? Do you want to worry? Moving on. Why am I doing this? Why am I talking about this? This is where the power comes in. This is kind of how I power the garage, through this, and I got a UPS for the radio so that if I'm moving things around, the radio doesn't go on and off. The stupid headlight, battery charger, and all that other crap just kind of got put there because I like looking at the green light when the power's on. It helps me know that the power's on when the green LED traffic light's on. So, but I want to be able to get into this, so I need this crap to clear out of here. And I want it set it up so that I don't put stuff on here anymore, so I could open and close this and actually use the drawers and so forth here. I'm also trying to set it up so that, like, if I want to work on this bike, I'm not walking back and forth here for each and every tool. So with that, I went to the car, and this is a tray I picked up. And I was just kind of putting a few things that I know I always use, right? I always use these and the 1/4-inch set. Those are both metric. I've been using this guy a lot. It's 1/4-inch on one side, 3/8 on the other, double flex heads. This came from Harbor. It's like a item that's normally $19.95 lifetime guarantee, and I think I had it 25% off, so it was like $15 or something like that, or maybe it was on sale for $16.95 and then 25% off. I'm not sure. So Pittsburgh Pro. I don't know. Could you guys read that? This thing is pretty tough, actually. I had these sockets on it, the cheap Harbor sockets, and I was undoing a hub bolt. The big bolt in here to take the hubs off, and had an extension on it, and I was more or less standing on it and jumping on it, and I was afraid. I mean, it's fairly springy, and I was afraid that that it, you know, was going to break. But I had all of my 200 pounds on it, plus I was bouncing, so that's more than 200 pounds, and it didn't break, which was kind of surprising. So they did a pretty good job on that. The other nice thing about Harbor, at least the Harbor near me, if you bring something like this that has the lifetime warranty on it, they don't ask any questions. They trade it right in. Lately, Sears, well, forget Home Depot. Home Depot won't take anything back. I haven't broken anything from Lowe's yet. Lowe's seems to make a little better stuff. I haven't broken any of their standard tools. I forgot the brand name. They're hustling their stuff out under. But I have broken Home Depot stuff. I've broken a lot of Husky stuff. And the Home Depot Buy Me and even a couple of the others won't trade in ratchets, 3/8 ratchets that you break. They tell you you got to mail them away. By the time you mail away a ratchet, I don't know what's it going to cost you, $4 or $5 to mail it away, and wait for one to come back if it ever comes back, which means you got $5 out and you might get back zero, right? I haven't bothered. I've just, you know, when I think of it, I have one in the car, and I'll bring it in, and especially when I have a big order, like when I bought the windows for the house, I went into the local Home Depot with a window order and said, yo, if you don't trade in these ratchets, I'm not buying the windows, I'm going to go to Lowe's. And sure enough, they did not trade in the ratchets. So I went to Lowe's and bought the windows for the house. When I bought the construction load for this place, I also went into Home Depot and said, are you going to trade in these ratchets? I had two, and they refused, and I said, I'm going to buy the construction load at a place near me known as Williams. Kind of wanted to buy it at Williams anyway. It's a kind of a small town outfit, and I'd rather give them the business, even though it was more expensive there. They refused, so bought the load. So them not trading in $30 worth of ratchets have probably cost them well over $10,000 worth of business. But you know, corporations have their ways of doing things, and us little people have no reason to ask such things. Anyway, I keep going off in tangents. Maybe my brain is goosed by that, by a bunch of tick poison or something. But so I'm thinking of putting a tabletop on top of this thing, just so that I can keep handy things up here. I could get this unloaded. I could get access to my cabinet, and you guys could see I'm trying to figure out what to put in the tray. Problem with these trays, and I'm just noticing it now that I kind of got enough stuff in here to make it useful, I still have to put extensions, 1/4 inch and 3/8 extensions in here. You know, I just put a cheap open end set. By the time you get this thing with enough stuff in it that it's worthwhile, it weighs too much, and you really can't pick it up with one hand anymore, so it's back to taking two hands. So this tray probably is not going to work out. Maybe I'm going to use those three yellow guys. There's two right there, and there's one here. I'd like to make it so that one of these trays contain everything I need to troubleshoot a motor. So in that tray would go a compression tester, a wrench for taking out the spark plug, a multimeter, my portable CDI unit, and maybe even one of those little gas tanks with some hose, because typically that's all I need to troubleshoot one of these 200S motors, and it'd be handy to have it all in one place. One of the other trays I would like, you know, basic, to be able to do the basics. And the third one, kind of call it the extended work tray. Probably I'd throw a 4-inch grinder with a spare cutting wheel. I'd probably throw in the 1/2-inch tools with the extensions, 1/2-inch wrench, and some of the bigger, heavier tools in that, kind of like the extended repair version. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking out loud. Folks do things differently. And some of them do things, most people do things better than me because I'm very disorganized. Some people just run out of a toolbox, that's all. They roll the toolbox to right where they're working. They have flip ups on the sides and so forth. I've never really been one for that, though maybe I should learn to be one for that. Some people make multiple trips to the toolbox and they have a rolling table that they put the tools on, and then they lift their stuff on a lift or jacks or whatever they're doing and just deal with the rolling table. I don't know. I have to figure out a better way to work though, because this isn't working. This is just a zoo. Anyway, folks, I hit 20 minutes, which is too long for a video. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing. Live, love, and have a great time. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Horde. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Alaskan videos. I got another couple that I'm going to throw up if you guys don't mind, just so that you guys could see things. The one with the guy putting his quad up in the air like 15 feet I thought was interesting. I hope he used a winch to get it up there, because that had to be a scary ride to actually sit on it and attempt to drive it up there. Even if you're driving up on a dirt pile or something, that's a long way up. That's scary. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, and thanks for subscribing. Bye now.